Welcome to the Founders Forum podcast, brought to you by the Foxwell Founders, where we interview some of the hottest minds in D2C right now and deep dive on their area of expertise. Everyone that we interview here is a cherished member of our Foxwell Founders community of over 550 advertisers worldwide and are at the cutting edge of what is working right now. I hope you enjoy this, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Andrew at Foxwell Digital. And now let's get stuck into this week's episode. Here are Edwin and Tris, our hosts.
Three best ways that we've ever seen to deal with this is
it's one of the things that's working really, really well for our agency right now.
Question of the week, right?
he's going to spill all the tea on TikTok for us. What is the oh wow strategy of the moment? If it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Who buys it even at that time, right? Hey guys, welcome to the Foxwell Founders podcast. This is me, where we're going through an awful lot of detail here in email marketing this week. We're so proud to be able to present to you Molly Nutt of Acorn Digital Marketing Strategy. Molly's been doing this for donkey's years. She's been going through the intricate detail about copywriting, looking at all what actually converts when it comes to email marketing. And we're going to really go through it and understand what it is and how your business can learn from this. So Edwin, hit us with your first question.
What is the bad advice that people are getting right now about email? What is it? Tell us.
Oh my gosh, you're coming in with a zinger. The bad advice that people are getting. I think I might be in a silo because I'm only hearing the good advice because that's what I'm giving, right?
Okay.
Let me think. The bad advice? I do hear some people saying that like email marketing can kind of be like, oh, just send out emails. Like as long as you're sending out emails, then that's enough, right? Like just stay in touch with your audience, just keep consistent and just send stuff. And that can work to a certain extent and for certain stages of businesses. But once you get to a certain stage of business, you need an email strategy. And so just like designing and coming up with emails on your own with no strategy behind it is not good advice. And I think some business owners think that they could just be investing in ads and like throwing money at ads without having a comprehensive email strategy to back it up. So yeah, let's go with that. That's the bad advice I'm hearing right now.
I like that. I like it a lot. And so, I mean, look, one of the the questions I have, I suppose, looking at this is like, the bad advice comes out from, it happened with media agencies throughout COVID, and a lot of people are like, oh, I can do email, and and same with media, is like I could buy media and then set up an agency. But like a lot of the stuff comes out of that. But I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that you're kind of set up your agency to go, I want to fight against this advice. Like what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's starting out fresh? That's what you do at Acorn. So you start people who are just starting off and really kind of getting going. What are the kind of key things that I would start with if I'm starting into email marketing?
Yeah, definitely get into the right software is a key point. A lot of the early stage founders that are like just getting off of Etsy and building their own Shopify store and they're getting set up in Shopify. Maybe they've done, some revenue, but maybe they haven't quite hit 6 figures yet, or maybe they're early 6 figures, but they're getting going and they have some traction. That is when you need to stop using Shopify as your email marketing software and get into one that is actually going to support your long-term growth. I am a diehard Klaviyo fan. We only work with Klaviyo at our agency.
Klaviyo, yeah, okay.
I love Klaviyo.
I mean, there's loads of them, right? But Klaviyo is the one you're like, it has to work. Why so much? Why Klaviyo?
There are a lot of great email softwares out there. Like I've had a few clients in OmniSend that like didn't hate it. My opinion as an agency owner, especially as we have a small team of people working in e-com, we can't know every single software perfectly, right? But if we can be the best at knowing one software and how to make it work for any type of brand and know how to optimize Klaviyo accounts, then that's how we're going to be the most dangerous for our clients. So it is a little bit more of a personal decision in terms of like what our bandwidth is at the agency and what I want to be known as being the best at Klaviyo rather than being mediocre at a few different platforms. So and also Klaviyo is just a great platform. Like they got the data, they have all the flows. I mean, the way that you can totally customize the platform for your needs. I'm a big fan of it.
Makes a ton of sense. Yeah. And so when you're going into it, I suppose you talked about flows there, you talked about campaigns. I mean, let's go into that in detail. I mean, if I'm I'm an e-commerce agency. I'm an e-commerce company, and I'm setting up. I've just started making a few sales and so on. What am I setting up? You talking about flows there? What are we talking about there?
Yeah, you got to set up the 4 essential flows. That's part of every package that we offer for newer brands. The 4 essentials.
Essential flows. Do we have a T-shirt? Are they written in
should.
stone?
We
T-shirt we
should.
need 4 essential
Right?
flows.
I feel like a
The
bandana
company
might
swag.
be good.
Whoa, whoa,
Maybe a
that would be
sweatband.
wild. Okay.
Yeah, the 4 essential flows are especially for those newer stage businesses that haven't gotten into a platform like Klaviyo yet, or maybe they got into the platform, but then they started using it and they're like, holy shit, this is way too much. I don't know what I'm doing. That's when they call
Really?
us, right?
Okay.
Because it's a lot of tech to
Yeah.
figure out and a lot of strategy to know. So the 4 essential flows are your welcome flow, absolutely necessary for every single brand. Your post-purchase flow, that is also absolutely necessary to nurture customers and increase customer lifetime value. And then the low-hanging fruit, browse, abandon, and abandon cart. Absolutely non-negotiables for brands. So those are the 4 that are mandatory if any company wants to work with us and wants us to set up their flows. Those are like, you cannot get one of those off of the package. If you don't want to do all 4, then we're doing none. But then
you're not really approaching it the right way if you're not doing all 4. Really.
Exactly,
and
you're
kind of trying to be cheap about it.
Yeah, you're trying to be cheap about it, and you're not thinking about long-term strategy and long-term growth, right? Because investing in these 4 flows truly is an investment that you will see a return on investment on, as long as you're doing the other top of funnel marketing strategies. As long as you're driving traffic to your website and your company is growing in some capacity, these are going to be successful flows for you that you will get your money back on the investment. And that's a conversation I'm having with a lot of the smaller brands that are like, I'm not making like millions yet. Like, do I really need this? It's like, yes, you do. Because if you want to be making millions, this is how you make the millions. It's how you set up your business for long-term growth. So yeah, that's the 4 essential flows.
Talk specifically about some of these flows. Like, how long are they? So just horror story here. I bought something before COVID, now BC, right? It was a while ago, and I'm still getting there. Thank you for buying from us. By the way, we've got this. That was 4 years ago.
Wow.
How long until and this wasn't, the AOV on this was probably about $150. Like, it wasn't massive, but when do you stop, or how long is too much, or how long? Let's talk about a thank you flow, just specifically. Like, how long are you thanking this person for?
Yeah, not for years. Yeah, that's for sure. I think there's a few ways that brands can approach the post-purchase experience, especially on the type of the business that they have. So there's a post-purchase flow, which is normally just a few emails. You're thanking them for the purchase. And depending on how you want to use Klaviyo versus Shopify, maybe Shopify is still sending those transactional emails of like, your order's confirmed, your order's been shipped. Like, those type of messages are still safe to stay in Shopify, but you want to make sure that you're sending a personalized, heartfelt thank you from the founder, right? That goes a long way. And then also we want to be asking them for their review. And so that can be set up in the actual post-purchase flow, or it can be set up in another flow, but making sure that the flows are talking to each other in terms of timing. So you want to be asking them to leave a review. If you're using SMS, you can also send a follow-up via SMS. If they haven't left a review yet in a few days, and you want to kind of give them another nudge. And you can also incentivize them to leave a review, because especially for growing brands that are starting off, we need to build social trust or social proof and increase trust. And reviews are a great way to do that. So you can even incentivize with a discount off the next purchase or $1 off the next purchase. So that's all part of the post-purchase experience. And then depending on the type of product that you're selling, we can send refill request reminders, right? So let's say you have a skincare company that their product runs out on an average of 30 days. Then if you have a subscription model, that's great. And they can get into the subscription, and you can invite them to join that subscription if they've enjoyed their purchase. But if you don't have a subscription model, you can send them an email at day 25 being like, hey, you're likely running out soon. Place your order here. And you can even send another reminder with an incentive afterwards. Incentives are a separate conversation of like how much do you want to discount your products, and do you want to be known for discounts? We'll table that, talk about that later. And then also, if they don't purchase in that refill reminder, you probably want to set up a win back flow of some sort, right? So how can you win that customer back and get them back into your world? Because that's one of the main goals of email marketing, is not only getting people to be the first time customer, right? But repeat customers, and retention is huge in email marketing. So the win back flow is designed to win customers back and get them back into your world. And so those are more like reminding them about the value of the products, reminding them of why other people love them. If they left a positive review, can remind them why they loved it too. So that is, depending on the brand, normally like 60 to 90 days after the first purchase. Not 3 years after COVID, Tris. That is crazy. That someone's still sending you emails that long.
It's a bit far. I think I've fallen
right?
into some other trap. I think I keep clicking back in and getting more emails.
Yeah,
Not too sure.
Yeah, the trick around that is to delete the emails, because then you'll likely be entered into like a sunset flow of sorts and then have your contacts suppressed in the email software.
That'll do it. That'll do it. So actually, you mentioned there about like deleting emails and kind of going out. Like, I mean, you know, there's all sorts of stuff that goes going on in the background. I mean, obviously since COVID has been happening and iOS has hurt media buyers a lot. Email marketing, you're not escaping that. Something happened with the iOS, right?
Yeah. iOS changed twice. The first change, I think, really impacted more so the ads folks, right? Of like tracking pixels and being able to retarget. I'm no ads expert. I have amazing ads friends that can probably speak more on that one. But the second update is where things kind of started getting dicey for email because of Apple's privacy policies that they set in place. So we're now not able to track whether or not someone with an Apple email address, essentially, if they open the email or not. And so now we're having to kind of shift the way that we're looking at data. And instead of tracking and like paying so much attention to open rates, we need to be looking more at click rates and conversion rates with List Health, because there is a setting in Klaviyo, and I'm sure many other email softwares, that you can either exclude the Apple email addresses from your open rate data or include it. But when it's included, it marks them all as read and as opened. Yeah, so it inflates those open rates like crazy. And so you can pull data of like, okay, how many Apple emails am I sending to? Is it like a negligible amount? If so, you can probably include it and keep it as opens, and it might only fluff your open rates up by a few percent points, which at the end of the day isn't a huge deal. But if you're going to exclude them, you can't be cleaning your email list based on open rates, right? You need to make sure that if you're going to be doing like list cleaning tactics to make sure that you're keeping a healthy email list size and that you're only emailing people that are engaged, you likely want to be cleaning and scrubbing your email list based on click rates rather than as much open rates. So I don't know.
Still see clicks after iOS? You can still see people, like even if they're Apple emails, you can still see what people are clicking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, like it.
And our clicks, like, because so in the service world, a lot of people have actually fully turned off click tracking, right? And yeah, bro, it's crazy. And so and they've started doing a bunch of crazy stuff with deliverability with like Bimmy and whatnot. And so in the e-com world, is it the same? Are there wild things that you had to sort of implement now, especially with all the DMARC stuff that happened recently? Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah, the DMARC changes that happened, gosh, I think it was like February 1st or something like that this year. It honestly wasn't a huge deal for brands that were doing it right already. It was really only a big deal that for people that were sending from like Gmail email addresses or didn't have their like DNS settings connected. I at least that's what I experienced with my clients. Maybe other people have horror stories. I did just have a horror story come across my desk this week where this was a service-based business. They were using a platform called Flowdesk, and they were emailing people they were emailing 30,000 subscribers from a Gmail email address. And then when February came and they had to set up a branded domain email address, right, like hard stop, so bad. So they got a branded domain and started using it in February. But when you set up a branded domain, you have to do account warming. You have to do account warming. And they immediately started blasting 30,000 subscribers with this new branded domain, and their open rates went from like 60% to 8%, and they've been at that 8% since February. So now their domain reputation is insanely bad. So now I'm like, okay, we can either try to slowly rewarm that domain and like try to recover it, or we just need to create a new sending domain for you entirely.
So let's just talk about that real quick.
100%.
Like, like, there's so many different things you just mentioned there that, like, I know a little bit to be enough to be dangerous, but I would have done that, right? So talk to me. So first of all, demarking. So I can't use Gmail. I can't use anything like that anymore. That's just gone.
I mean, it's always been bad practice, right? To like
Okay, shouldn't be
send,
doing
no,
Yeah.
especially, I mean, from like, from a marketing perspective, you shouldn't be sending company marketing emails from an at gmail.com account,
Gmail.com,
right?
right.
Like that's just, I mean, not to like throw shade at anyone that's doing it and didn't know any better. Now you know better and you can do better, and no
Okay.
shade your way at all. But you want to be really careful because that's how you end up in spam. And once you're in spam, it's a lot harder to get out of spam. And
Get out of it,
that's-
yeah.
it's really tough.
Makes
But yeah,
sense.
you want to make sure that you're using a branded sending domain, depending on your, depending on
So that
how
would be
many.
like at webtopia.co or something
Exactly.
like that rather than at Gmail. Okay.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
even if I have my branded domain in a Google Workspace, I can still use, because it's branded, it's different. It just looked at it as different. Okay. And so then
Exactly.
secondly, then you mentioned that about email warming. What's this? What, like, because this is people who don't know about email, don't know about email warming. So what is it?
Yeah, email, it's essentially called account warming. And platforms like Klaviyo, and I'm sure other platforms as well, kind of give you, there's a ton of support documents. If you're new at this and you want to like get a step-by-step, just type in like account warming Klaviyo and you'll get step-by-step help, or send me a message. Happy to help too. But it's essentially warming up that domain to build trust in platforms like Gmail, Yahoo, Apple, MSN, all the email platforms, right? So instead of just taking your branded domain and starting to send to, let's say you have 10,000 subscribers on your email list, you first want to send to the most engaged 200 subscribers, your first email. And then you send to 400 subscribers in your next email, and then maybe 1,000, and then maybe 4,000, and you're slowly warming up the account, and you're starting with sending to only your most engaged contacts, because if you're sending to most of your engaged contacts, your open rates, your click rates, even your conversion rates are going to be the highest, and that is like your credibility with platforms like Gmail when you're hitting their inbox. So you want to make sure that you're starting out with really, really high open and engagement rates, and then 6-8 weeks you can start sending to your full email list again and going from there.
Okay.
And is Bimmy a big thing now with e-commerce stuff?
Is what?
Or
Sorry?
Bimmy? Is Bimmy a big thing now, or
I
not
haven't
so
used
much?
it. Yeah, I haven't used it. Maybe folks that are working with like 10, 20, $50 million brands might have a different opinion, but you know, I'm working with more so earlier stage up to like 7 million is what we have right now in our account.
So, you know, you talked about open rates being fluffed up a little bit and then click-through rates. People don't necessarily look at that a huge amount anymore. What benchmarks am I looking at when it comes to email marketing? Am I looking at revenue? Am I looking at AOV? Like, what am I looking at when it comes to, is my email marketing working?
Yeah, a ton of different things, honestly. We're looking at percent of revenue coming from email marketing, depending on if it's a solely e-com brand, you know, direct to consumer, or if we work with some brands that also have some brick and mortar storefronts. So percentages can vary. But generally you're looking at like 30 to 50% of revenue coming from email marketing is amazing, right? We want to be seeing that. If it's something lower and you're just doing e-com and you don't have any other channels like a brick and mortar store, then you probably want to be doing more with your email and setting up more flows or creating a stronger strategy. So that's one data point you should be looking at. Also, like conversion rates for your emails is also huge. Conversion rates are tricky, and revenue per recipient is another one that's tricky. I can't just give like a blanket answer because it really is different based on industry, based on list size, based on your time of year. It's always going to be fluctuating, but like generally speaking, conversion rates like 1 to 3% can be healthy. And then generally speaking, the revenue per recipient could be like 10 cents to $1 revenue per recipient. But again, it's really dependent on what you're selling, what the product value is that you're selling at time of year, all those things.
And AOV will come into that as well. And you mentioned list size as well, like cleaning of the list, like, you know, a couple times a week, couple times a month. Like, how often am I cleaning my list to go and get rid of people who aren't engaged? Or is that an ongoing thing?
Ongoing thing, yeah. There's a few ways to approach it. I mean, we often do it like once a quarter, at the end of the quarter. That can be a little bit aggressive. Sometimes people do every 6 months. But what you can also do is kind of automate that process through something called a sunset flow. And so your sunset flow is an automated flow that you can set up that is triggered by an unengagement, like a contact being more unengaged. So let's say you can set up a filter in that flow that says, you know, people enter this flow when they haven't clicked an email in the past 90 days. And then if they haven't clicked an email in the 90 days, they enter that flow and they get like, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. Like, click here to blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever you want to offer. You can even offer an incentive if you wanted to get them back to be a repeat customer. And so if they don't engage in that flow, at the end of the flow, you suppress their contact. So it's essentially like a last ditch effort of like, hey, do you want to come back? Like, we throw the kitchen sink at them. Like, remember how amazing we are? Here's a discount, like everything that you can do to get them back in your world. And then if they don't engage, that's when you suppress the contact. So that's also like a way to automate list cleaning.
I hear you.
And then, so we've talked about a lot about flows and about suppressing things. That's on the operational side. On the list building side of actually growing the list, tell me more about that.
Yeah, this is when it's fun to partner with ads teams for sure. I always tell, especially the newer founders that we work with that are, maybe hitting six figures to like $500,000, that the bigger your list, the bigger your wallet. Like, you need to be focusing on growing your list all the time.
Another T-shirt. The bigger your list, the bigger your wallet.
all the phrases, but it's so true. And so list growth should be a huge priority for every brand of every size, really. So that's another benchmark that you can be looking at is your pop-up and opt-in form conversion rates. We want to be sitting between like 3 and 5%, 3 being like the low, 5% being like you're doing good. Anything above 5%, you should be like throwing yourself a party because you've got a great incentive. People are joining.
Is that conversion people signing up or conversion rate from people who have signed up and bought?
People signing up.
Okay, right.
Like
so 3 to 5% of people who sign up, who come to your site, should be signing up through your pop-up. Okay,
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good bit of tidbit.
Yeah. And so with that pop-up, a great way to keep improving that data is through A/B testing your pop-up forms. Making sure that you always have an A/B test going, whether that's A/B testing different incentive offers like dollars off, percent off, free shipping, add-ons, things like that. But also A/B testing once you have like a winner of that offer. A/B testing copy and design and timing of the pop-up. All of those things are different things that you can test and to continue to optimize. But back to your original question, how people are growing the list. Email marketing really is a middle of funnel, channel for marketing. So the top of funnel, ads, organic social, SEO, driving traffic to the website, that is where it really is really important. And we can't be growing our list unless we have that top of funnel activity. So, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Then with the pop-up, with the pop-up collects, like, what have you seen move the needle the most, or what are the tests that you're like, hey, like, you should be running these 3 tests, and then that takes you 80% of the way there?
Yeah. First thing to always test is the offer, right? Some audiences are more incentivized by a bigger percentage off, while some audiences might be incentivized by a bigger dollar amount off a purchase of, $100 or more. So getting clarity on like what your audience is most incentivized by in terms of a discount can be a great first step. And then once you have the winner there, you can of course continue to refine or create customized pop-ups based on the time of year. Like, are you running a special offer during a holiday and the only way that they can get that huge discount is by joining your list? That should be articulated in that pop-up and have the welcome flow be delivering that discount, right? So that's where it kind of gets fun, where you can partner with ads teams and create more of like a comprehensive strategy. Because if the ads driving traffic to the website and maybe the ads showcasing like 15% off site wide, and then they land on the website and it's like, but wait, you can get 25% off if you join the email list, or an extra 10% off if you join SMS, then that's where we can really get more email conversions too. And that's where it gets pretty fun.
And so we're talking a lot about flows here and like automation flows and stuff like that, which is one half of email marketing. But then there's the other side, which is, the proactive stuff, they're emailing your list and so on. Talk to us about like a typical, say I'm a couple $1 million a year e-com brand that I'm driving a lot of traffic to my site, and I want to email these people on a semi-regular basis. What am I talking to them about, say in Q3?
Are you saying like how often we should be emailing them, or like content?
What should you be talking about? What, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I would get away from flows a bit. And I mean, flows are fantastic, but it sounds like I'll be going. There's 4 key flows that I'll be setting up. But what am I doing when it comes to kind of campaigns?
Yeah, a great question. Really individualized by the type of brand and what they have coming up in their campaign schedules. If they're doing a few million a year, they probably should be sending 2 to 3 emails a week. But that doesn't mean you're sending
Sure.
email blasts to your full list 2 to 3 times a week.
Thought so.
That is
I was
very
gonna
clear.
say, that sounds like a lot to, like, say 30,000 people. That's a lot of
Copywriting.
emails.
Okay, so what are these 2 to 3? Like what when they're not, when you say they're not email blasts, what are they?
They are segmented lists of people that you are sending to based on their purchasing behavior or based on their website engagement behavior. So let's say you have a product line. Let's say you have 10 products in your product. Let's just choose a skincare brand.
Sure.
And they opted into your email list because you gave them a quiz. And the quiz, you were able to filter by if they have dry skin, oily skin, combination skin, if they're acne prone, whatever, right? So now we know about our audience very clearly, what they're struggling with and what they want. So maybe the first email that you send in the week is targeting people that have oily and acne prone skin, and you're targeting them with a certain product that's new to your product line that you know that they'll love, right? So you can be more specific with your messaging, talking to the right person at the right time with the right message. That could be one email that week. And then the next email that week, maybe it's sending to a larger list and it's a more generalized message. Maybe you're showcasing UGC or the reviews that you got the past week to keep building that trust. And you can exclude the people that receive that first email, right? But you can send to this broader list of more generalized message and have it be more of a generalized promotion, a more generalized call to action. So you can always have these segmentation strategies so you can stay in the lane of what your subscriber actually wants to be purchasing and what you know about them, right? That's not to say you should always be segmenting. You can send these email blasts because you don't always want to assume that the person with oily skin now doesn't have dry skin because the season changed, right? Like we don't want to always assume things about them. We want to give them the opportunity to purchase through your entire product line. But using the segmentation strategies, one, really helps engagement and your engagement rates because you're sending the people the right message at the right time. So yeah, that's something that I think a lot of business owners miss out on.
So tell me some effective segmentation strategies for, let's say, fashion and apparel brands, right? So we talked a little about skincare. Let's talk about fashion and apparel. Tell me some like effective segmentation strategies that you've seen work.
The few that we do is based on buying behavior, right? So it could be if you could target by seasonality of like when they purchase last too. So maybe you can segment by customers that tend to purchase like once a season and they're like refreshing their wardrobe once a season. So you can target based on that, based on purchasing behavior. You could target based on, this would get more into the automation, like cross sells, but let's say they bought like a top in their last order and you're sending them the thank you emails. You can then send dynamic content in the automations being like, these bottoms are commonly paired with this top, like purchase here. Yeah, so you can do a lot of cool dynamic content blocks, especially in platforms like Klaviyo. I'm sure other ones do too. But dynamic content targeting can be really helpful for cross-sells and upsells too.
Interesting. And do they go before the shipment happens, or is it like a week later, like you got this nice top, these pants will go with it, or something like that?
Yeah, it depends on how the brand wants to work. An easy way to get it in the shipment is instead moving that to an abandoned cart or browse abandoned flow and getting them to add to the cart before they complete the purchase. And then depending on, how the company is doing packaging and like their timing, then you could have it be an add-on before it's shipped. We haven't done that with any brands. I don't know the technicality of how that would work like on the logistics side of the business. But we've done like, I'm sure.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Right?
It creates a lot of headaches.
I'm sure. Yeah, we tend to include it as like a like for your next order type incentive, and then also in the abandoned cart and browse abandoned.
Easy. So, I mean, look, I think this has been fantastic so far. There's some really, really good nuggets of wisdom in there. And just one of the things that I really want to know is kind of, say I'm a brand and I've got everything down. I've got my flows going on. I've got my campaigns going on. What are some of the things you've seen, say, in the last few weeks, few months that you're kind of like, wow, that's something new in 2024. That's something that, we're starting to see brands just really not having done. I say BC, but it's kind of new stuff that people are doing, because email marketing is a tough one to kind of innovate in, right? Because you've got email, you got there, but then is it kind of how they pair SMS with email, or is it something where it's kind of different specific offers or whatever? Is there something that you're saying that maybe, I'm talking Black Friday now because, it's a couple months away now, we've got to get ready to go. So what kind of stuff can I prepare myself for to go, okay, this is going to be the best Q4 ever?
Yeah, well, now is the time to be A/B testing the crap out of your account, honestly, before Black Friday comes. So, A/B testing subject lines, content, timing, segmentation, offers, time delays in your flows. Like, now is the time to test the crap out of everything so you can figure out what's going to work the best for you come Black Friday holiday season, right? But in terms of like what's new, I feel like right now plain text emails are having a moment. I still haven't officially decided how I feel about them, but they've been working in some of our accounts, especially if you're sending like a really personalized message from the founder of the brand. And it's just like, it looks like it's showing up as a Gmail message of like someone just emailed you, like non-branded, like just typed out message. They're definitely having a moment. I'm seeing more and more brands doing it, and we've been testing it out with pretty good results. So it could be integrated into a post-purchase flow of like a, hey, we saw you purchased recently. I'm the founder. Thanks so much. You could share a little bit of your story and like the values behind the company. But also it can be a campaign with like literally hyperlinked to products in an email, which again, I still don't know how I feel about it. I like love graphic design, and the emails we design are a huge point of pride for my team. Like they look really pretty. So going to plain text like kind of is a dagger to the heart a little bit, but if they're working, right?
Hey, it's good copywriting. It's the art
Well,
of
what
good
are the
copywriting.
results? Like, what are the numbers that you're seeing? What's the lift that you're seeing off that?
Oh gosh, I don't have the numbers top of mind right now, but I do remember being shocked when I saw the results, being like, holy cow, okay, and the click rate is what really blew my mind of like people clicking on a hyperlinked text rather than like a beautiful CTA button in a beautifully designed email. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. It was a few months ago that we sent the last campaign for a brand that had plain text, but it must have been above 5% if it made me be like, whoa, this is kind of weird.
And so how's SMS kind of linking in with that? Like, because email, right, I got my email and get a ton of email and like, oh, like some of it goes into updates and all the rest, that kind of stuff. But like SMS, if I get a text to my phone, it would want to be good. So how are you handling that versus email marketing? You're not doing it nearly as much? Is it like a special offer? What are we talking there?
Yeah, not nearly as much special offers for sure. I think where a lot of brands can be going wrong with SMS is having it be just like a duplicate of what they're sending in email, right? Like if you're sending we just launched this product and you're sending that over email, and then you're also sending, we just launched this product over SMS, you're giving your SMS community no incentive to continue to be there and be engaged, right? Like I always say, your email list should feel like the VIPs of your community. You should be treating them like they are the most important people. They're getting early access. They're getting exclusive deals. Like you are nurturing them with making them feel so incredibly special. And with SMS, you have to take that to the next level, which is sometimes hard for brands to figure out of like, how do I make them feel how do I make them feel even more special? How can I give them even more? But you have to be creative with ways that you're sending content to your SMS list, because like I said, if you're just rinse and repeating an email strategy over to your SMS strategy, people are going to get unengaged and you're not going to see the revenue that you want to be.
So what kind of SMS strategies do work? Like, are we talking, like I said, the advice I was given there is like, special offers or whatever, but is it like, pre-orders? Is it previews? Like, it's like, oh, we have this sale come up in 24 hours, because you're in the SMS, you're getting it like 24 hours in advance. Yeah.
Exactly. You nailed it. Yeah. Early access to things, exclusive looks. We've even seen some brands turning their website on password protection and then sending the website password. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
the password.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the twist I have not seen.
I know, right? I haven't seen it yet. I haven't done it. I haven't implemented it. I saw another brand do it and was like, oh, I'm putting this in my back pocket. Like that could be a really cool way to make people feel like they are on the inside scoop of your brand.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm just trying to think how I can use that now in the come out the July 4th weekend straight off the bat was one that we could definitely use it, but I think of a bunch more between now and then. Nice. I love that. And so the other side of it as well is, have you seen any clangers? Have you seen any like horror stories? You mentioned there about that person sending from a Gmail. Are there other ones similar to that you've seen in the last few weeks or even months that where it's like, oh, that's bad?
Yeah, that one was honestly the worst one that I've seen in a while. When the February changes happened with the DNS records and everything, there were a lot of people freaking out and a lot of people that didn't know what they were doing. Like, and it negatively impacted their deliverability. So since then, I really haven't seen anything like absolutely insane happen, but I know a lot of brands were really impacted by that because, I mean, you start talking like DMARC records and SPF records and DNS settings and like go to your domain and find this and add this. And it gets overwhelming for people that, I mean, even for me, I'm not a tech wizard. Like I know enough to do all of these things, but you know, for an e-com brand owner that's doing all this by themselves and they're dealing with everything else in their business, I don't blame them that they like freaked out when they heard about all these things. They didn't know what to do. I wouldn't either if I were them.
I'd say for sure. Yeah, it's kind of like, whoa, my whole business has gone down this one. Yeah.
What is something that store owners need to know? Like, what is something you want to shout from the rooftop? They need to know this.
You need email marketing strategy to be successful.
Oh, wow. Okay. You reckon you won't be successful without an email marketing strategy?
I think long term, your brand will hurt if you don't have an email marketing strategy, right? Like, of course, you can still make money and be successful, but can you make more money and be more successful if you have email marketing set up? Heck yes. And I think also what I do a lot of educating on, I also run, I don't think I mentioned this, I run an in-person networking community for female founders in the greater Seattle area called the CEO Society. And so I do a lot of like education around how the marketing funnel works at a high level, right? Because I think if you're not in the marketing world, it can get a little confusing of like how all of these things work together and like how they come together and how all the systems are talking. So I think setting the foundation for brand owners, especially if they're newer, of like how the funnel works, like how ads in social can be great top of funnel. You get them into your funnel, you nurture them through email, they become customers, you work on a retention strategy through email, and like having a general understanding of how all of these things interplay together and how you can bring in ads for retargeting. Like, I think just having a high level understanding of how everything can function together gives a lot more confidence to brand owners of like how they're spending their money and where they're spending their money. And how it all works together. So those would be the two things that I would leave you with.
That's really good.
You have one more question.
Yeah.
What do you say to brand owners when, let's say, they do a new release, right? They send out the email blast, and of course, the ad spend is also blasting, right? And the email says it's brought in X amount of dollars, and then the ad said, "Oh, we brought in X amount of dollars," but those two numbers don't jive with each other, right? Like it's over reporting or like something's just not. What do you say in that situation?
It is, data reporting is like the bane of my existence because Klaviyo data is always like competing against Shopify data, and Shopify data is competing with Google Analytics data. Like you are never going to find the exact perfect number. A few brands that we're working with are considering bringing on platforms like Triple Whale for more accurate data reporting. You guys might know more about like the bigger brands that are using things like that. But I will say looking at trends for email can sometimes be more impactful than looking at a siloed data point, right? So if you're comparing Klaviyo performance over a quarter compared to what Shopify says Klaviyo performance is over a quarter, you can normally see bigger trends. Now, if we're talking about a specific launch and like a specific moment in time, it's going to be nuanced. Like it's going to be tough to say what's what. I always tend to say, trust the platform that is giving you the data, right? Like we normally say, like, trust what Klaviyo is reporting because their attribution models are set in stone versus trusting like what Shopify is reporting Klaviyo is doing, because sometimes data can get lost in that movement. And I'm sure the same goes with ads. I'm sure you guys struggle with that all the time of like, what different platforms are reporting where. It's so hard. So yeah, I'd be curious what you guys do.
We have a similar
ads.
saying to you, a t-shirt saying to you is like, don't look how the sausage is made. Just focus on the sausage.
I like it.
It's so easy to get stuck in the oh, these guys say we had $100. These guys say we $150, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm being left with 50. So where's the rest of it? Where's it all coming from? I don't know. But yeah, it's like you could spend your life at that, or you could focus on being a good marketer and giving a good message a good simplified message across the board and give a reason to buy. We've talked to creative agencies, we've talked to CRO experts, and they're talking about having a good message the whole way down. Sounds like email is a very similar structure. So
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks so much for that. It's been fantastic.
All right, guys, we just had an amazing conversation with Molly Nutt from Acorns. We learned about the 4 essential flows. Guys, get it printed on your t-shirt, tattoo it on your body. You need it. I'm Edwin.
I'm Tris.
I'm Molly.
Nice
see
to
you on
meet
the
you.
next
See you guys
one.
next time. Bye bye.